Alright, let's be honest. When's the last time you thought about turning in your 2 weeks notice? Not because you were angry, and not because someone at your job was pressing your buttons, and not because your boss got on your last nerve, but because somewhere deep down inside you knew you had outgrown the job. Most people never think past the paycheck. Most people never think past the moment. Most people never think past the comfort of routine. And that, my friend, is the problem. Do you want to be like most people? Shit, I hope not. Because here's the truth. Most people remain most people because they never seem to see or notice any other options. They never explore, or they never step outside the fishbowl mentality. But if you watching this right now are ready to break free from the most people category, if you are ready to trade security for significance, comfort for calling, routine for responsibility, then stay with me until the end. Stay with me throughout this entire journey, because I'm gonna give you the exact strategies, the real mindset shifts, the mental blueprints that allowed me to turn in my 2 weeks notice, so you can begin building your own 2-week resignation story as well. So there I was, driving that bus routine day after day after day, stop after stop for 2 whole years. And then all of a sudden, one day, while driving my bus, I realized something. My routine had quietly become my birdcage. And if I didn't decide when to leave, sooner or later, circumstances would decide for me. Like a company cutback, a government policy, a new boss, or a bad week, or even a threatening passenger, which I did have that experience. But Bob Proctor once said, job security isn't security at all. That line hit me like a midnight wake-up call. So I made a promise to myself, right there on the bus. Never again would I depend on something I couldn't control. Never again would my future be tied to someone else's decisions. Never again would I choose comfort over calling. Act 1, the bus and the vision. For 2 years, I drove a bus here in Cobb County. Every day, I greeted every single passenger, helped them find their stops, and when they didn't have the fare, but offered me a good, creative, sometimes Oscar-worthy story as to why, I gave them a courtesy ride. Because sometimes humor is the real currency of the day. Be it humor or courtesy. And honestly, some of their stories were so good, I should have charged them admission. But what most people don't know is that every mile I drove, I was also driving towards a vision. Whether it was between routines, at red lights, or during those quiet moments when the bus feels like a moving meditation, as soon as an idea hit me, I'd pull out my little notepad from my pocket and write it down. Whether it was my thoughts, my ideas, different plans, next moves, download after download, I wrote it all down. Without any filter, just writing it. Because what most people don't realize is that driving gives you a lot of time to think. And passengers give you a lot of different perspectives. Some days it felt like the bus was a rolling podcast. Other days it felt like a traveling comedy show. And every so often, it felt like a classroom, a therapy session, or what I now call the garden of your mind. That quiet space where new possibilities grow, if you're paying attention. Every conversation with a passenger gave me a new spark, a new insight, a new message someone needed to hear, whether it was them or me. And one day, right there while I was driving on my route, the idea hit me like a revelation. Why not build a channel that speaks to the people that I meet every single day? Why not build the bridge? Yeah, the bridge. A platform built to connect health, happiness, wealth, and even well-being. All the things that people need and talk about on a daily basis. A place where real conversation leads to real transformation. Not a channel, a movement. A bridge from who we were to who we could become. Act 2, the blueprint begins. Those little notes I kept in my pocket, they didn't stay notes for long. They became blueprints. Blueprints for ideas, blueprints for solutions, blueprints for the future version of me that was quietly forming while I was driving that bus. First came The Bridge, a YouTube channel created from real conversations, real people, real pain, real laughter, and real life happening seat by seat, stop by stop. Then came my new book, The World of Detox, because people weren't just hurting physically, they were hurting emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and I knew detox wasn't just about food, it was about freedom. Freedom from sickness and ailments and different pains and things that were causing us to feel ill. And then came Crema Mágica, a healing cream I first made to help restore a knee injury. But soon I noticed how powerful it was to help heal for so much more, like back tension, muscle stiffness, achy joints, tight shoulders, sciatica type discomforts, tendon irritation, and even those, I don't know what happened, but now it hurts moments life likes to throw at us. Yeah, that's right. A cream people grab when they need support, when they need relief, and when they need something that doesn't play around and starts working in minutes. Let's just say my passengers wasn't the only ones who needed healing, my co-workers did too. So I created something that could help heal them immediately. After that, it was like the floodgates opened. I rebuilt my online courses, I started doing live and virtual events, lunch and learns, customer appreciation days, discover your greatness, and yes, the legendary Sip and Speak. In addition, we had Kale networking parties, masterclasses, workshops, pop-ups. Whatever I knew could help someone, I created it. Every time I saw a need, every time I heard someone say, by gosh, I surely wish there was something for that. Every time I realized someone didn't have a solution, I created it. Taking action became my focus, my habit, my new paradigm, my new default setting. Because purpose doesn't wait. Purpose gets produced. My job was no longer my identity. It was my lab, my testing ground for ideas, my classroom for human behavior, my stage for communication, my platform for experiments, and most importantly, my investor. Every paycheck became production money for the future version of me I was creating. I was investing in brick by brick, day by day, and idea by idea. Act 3, the study and the mentors. While I was writing down all my ideas every single day, I was also feeding my mind every single day. My journey to and from work became my classroom. No music, no radio, just me and the inspirational voices of the greats that I selected. Brian Tracy, Ty Lopez, Wallace Wallows, Bob Proctor, The Science of Getting Rich, The Success Puzzle, The Law of Attraction, lecture after lecture, day after day. All of this happened in my car to and from work. 20 minutes both directions, 5 days a week. That's over 3 hours of personal development every single week, which equals out to almost 150 hours a year of pure rewiring, self-mastery, and mindset transformation. Most people spend their commute complaining, fighting traffic, or rehearsing that imaginary speech they're never really going to give their boss. You know the one. But me, I turned my car into a moving university. And with every mile, every chapter, every lesson, Bob Proctor became my invisible mentor. And the more I listened, the more I internalized, the more something inside of me began to shift. Quietly at first, and then powerfully. I learned something that became the biggest game changer of my life. If I wanted different results, I needed different information. Most people try to change their life from the outside in, but your results come from the inside out. And it goes like this. Information shapes your thoughts. Thoughts create feelings. Feelings produce actions. Actions create results. And results become your reality. So if you want a new reality, you must start with new information. That's why in my car, before the bus shift, after the bus shift, I was feeding myself the best information on earth. I wasn't just passing the time, I was passing old versions of myself. But pure information wasn't enough, because creativity without structure collapses. So I didn't just study the greats, I applied what they taught me. I stopped thinking in terms of chance, luck, and maybe one day. And I started thinking in terms of cause and effect, law and alignment, intention and discipline. And the more I learned, the more I transformed, then I leveled up again. I didn't hire one coach, I hired two. Mike Howard, sharpening my voice, my delivery, my presence, and Dr. Gant, sharpening my discipline, my structure, and my focus. Together, they became my personal think tank, my accountability board, my growth engine. And at that point, I was basically in motivational Navy SEALs training every single day. If either one of them had shouted out, "Drop down and give me 20 push-ups of purpose," I would have saluted with pride and excitement. Because when you're truly ready for growth, there is no ego, no laziness, no comfort, and no complacency. There is just the vision and the work required to match it. Act 4, the sacrifice. This is the part people never glamorize, the sacrifice. Most people want the success, but not the subtraction. They want the growth, but not the grind. They want the new life, but not the death of their old habits. But me, I had to learn to say no. No to parties. No to, bruh, won't you just come out and have one drink with me? And the funny thing about that is, it's always somebody's birthday. So there's always a reason to go out and have one drink. No to pointless scrolling. No to gossip and empty conversations that drained me and or that wasn't in direct alignment with what I was building. My 1 to 3 year vision. Then it didn't make the schedule. I became allergic to distractions and addicted to forward motion. I spent money, but only on things that moved me forward, like books and courses that fed my mind, equipment that helped me to build my brand, my office setup, t-shirt supplies, cameras, production equipment, and material for the next and greater version of me. Everything had to have purpose stamped on it. If it didn't help build the bridge, it wasn't getting my attention. Even my travel channel, Traveling Gems, had to take a back seat. I put vacations on vacation. And even my passport was like, "Yo, did you forget about me or something?" And I was like, "Nah, I didn't forget. I was just focused, laser focused." You see, discipline doesn't always feel good. It doesn't. Sometimes discipline feels lonely. Sometimes it feels heavy. Sometimes it feels like everybody else is living while you're just building. But you know what else doesn't feel good? Being stuck. Waking up to the same life that you said you changed. Watching your dreams get dusty. Carrying the weight of what if. I had to choose between discomfort and regret. So, guess what? I chose discomfort because regret, that was too expensive for me. And I refused to pay that price. Act 5. The voice returns. When it came to sharpening my craft, my voice, my delivery, my confidence, I knew exactly where I needed to go back to. Yup, that's right. Toastmasters. And if you never heard of Toastmasters or never visited one, listen to me. You should go at least once. Better yet, you should become a member at least once for a year. Because communication and leadership aren't optional in life. They're essential. They open doors that a resume never could. So I went every week. Sometimes once, sometimes twice, sometimes more. I didn't treat it like a hobby. I treated every meeting like rehearsal for my destiny. Every speech I delivered was another rep in the gym of greatness. And slowly my voice returned, my confidence returned, my presence returned. I started speaking like the person I was becoming, not the person I used to be. Toastmasters wasn't just training, it was transformation. And the funny thing is, I didn't just speak inside the club, I spoke everywhere. Everywhere I got the chance to speak. Events, network spaces, random conversations, grocery stores, and yes, even on the bus. Some passengers came on board for transportation, but through conversation and inspiration, they left with transformation, or at least a planted seed. That became my joy, to encourage as many people as I could, wherever I could, whenever I could, because every moment became preparation for what was coming next. Every stage, every room, every event, and every conversation. All of it was training for the life that I was building. A life where my voice wasn't just heard, it was felt. Act 6, the decision. Now finally that day came, the day I had been envisioning from the very first day of that 2-year journey. My 2-week notice. And yes, I was nervous, I was skeptical, I was uncertain, but the kind of uncertainty that helps when your soul is louder than your fear. I felt the weight of every what if. What if I'm not ready? What if I fail? What if this isn't the right moment? But I also felt something stronger. What if this was the exact moment that I was created for? What if this is the alignment I've been preparing for? So I wrote the letter, I held it in my hand, and I turned it in. Okay, so what? I emailed it, whatever. And as I walked out of my job on that day into the sunlight, I knew something deep. I wasn't quitting, I was actually graduating. Graduating from who I used to be into who I was always meant to become. A new chapter, a new identity, a new level of responsibility and possibilities. I didn't leave because I hated the job. I left because I had completed the assignment that I was sent there to complete. That bus wasn't just a job, it was a classroom, a character builder, a training ground for discipline, patience, communication, healing, and vision. But even with all that, I truly felt like not all birds are meant to be caged in. And one day after I said that to a passenger, he turned around, looked me dead in my eye and said, "No birds are meant to be caged in." Wow. That hit my spirit so deep, it became a prophecy. Because you can't fly while clinging to the cage door. You can't step into destiny while your grip is still locked on familiarity. And you can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading the old one out of habit or fear or comfort or even out of routine. There comes a moment in life when you have to stop asking for permission to become the person you know you were supposed to be. There comes a moment when staying becomes more dangerous than leaving. There comes a moment when fear becomes a smaller risk than regret. And for me, this was that moment. The moment I finally said, if not now, when? If not me, who? If not this, then what? And I walked out of that job with no guarantees, no safety net, and no plan B. Just purpose, preparation, focus, and the belief that the same God who gave me the vision would guide me through the mission. Act 7, the next chapter. Now, this is where everything shifts, because the moment I turned in my 2 weeks notice, the universe didn't get quieter. It got louder. Suddenly, ideas came faster. Opportunities came clearer. Connections started lining up in ways I couldn't even explain. It was almost like the moment I stopped chasing comfort, purpose started chasing me. So now I'm producing my first documentary. A dream years in the making. A project born from discipline, pain, passion, and alignment. A film that isn't just about my story, but about your story too. About the power of alignment, the courage to evolve, and the discipline it takes to reprogram a life. And the bridge, it's evolving too. It's no longer just a YouTube channel, it's becoming a full ecosystem. Events, books, courses, workshops, global conversations, and a moment built to inspire and empower people everywhere. Masterclasses, sip and speak tours, detox retreats, discover your greatness training. The bridge is becoming a place where people don't just learn, they transform. The same focus that kept me disciplined behind the wheel is now guiding me behind the camera, behind the microphone, behind the brand, and behind every idea I create. And here's the thing, when you say no to distractions long enough, your purpose eventually gets tired of whispering and starts shouting your name. The more I aligned my daily life with my destiny, the more destiny started showing up in my life. People began reaching out, doors began opening, and opportunities I once dreamed about were suddenly asking if I was available. The next chapter isn't about escaping a job. It's about stepping into a calling. It's about building something bigger than me, bigger than a paycheck, bigger than a position, bigger than a routine. It's about legacy, impact, healing, wealth, freedom, purpose, and alignment. The next chapter is the reason the last chapter existed. All the lessons, all the moments, all the sacrifices were preparing me for this. And if this is what alignment looks like, then trust me, I'm just getting started. Act 8, the bridge message. So here it is, the blueprint. The same roadmap that helped me build my courage, my confidence, my courses, my brand, and eventually my freedom. Not theory, not fantasy, not motivation without direction. A real blueprint you can begin with today. Number 1, define your 1 to 3 year goal. You gotta write it out. Then write it out again tomorrow and every day after that, because clarity isn't a moment, it's practice. Number 2, cut the noise. Silence the distractions. You can't hear destiny if your life sounds like chaos. Number 3, study the greats. If you don't know where to start where I started. Start with Bob Proctor, Wallace Wattles, Brian Tracy, or study the giants in your own lane. Just make sure your mentors live the life that you want to build. Number 4, invest in mentors. This is non-negotiable. A mentor collapses time. A mentor removes confusion. A mentor compresses decades into days. And if you don't have one yet, call me. Yes, I said what I said. Just call me. Number 5, build daily. Dreams don't grow from intensity. They grow from consistency. You got to be consistent. Number 6, say no consistently. Your no protects your why. Your no protects your future. Your no protects what it is you're trying to accomplish. Your no protects your freedom. Number 7, protect your focus like your future depends on it, because guess what? It does. This is the part nobody tells you. Freedom isn't luck. Freedom is discipline disguised as destiny. This is the bridge where inspiration plus information equals transformation, where health meets wealth, where peace meets purpose, where who you are meets who you were born to be. And if a bus driver like me can build books, brands, masterclasses, healing products, and a documentary, then you, my friend, you can build your dream as well. But stay with me for this final act, because what comes next, that's where legacy begins. Act 9, the legacy I chose. At the end of the day, this wasn't just a clearer decision. This was a life decision, a recalibration of who I am and who I'm becoming and what I refuse to leave unfinished. When I lived in the Dominican Republic, something shifted in me, a kind of spiritual clarity, a moment of alignment, a dose of PCP, but not drugs, peace, clarity, and purpose. I promised myself that when I returned to the US, I would retweak my plan. I would never fall back into routine. I would build something that mattered, something my children could inherit, because they can't inherit a job, but they can inherit a mission. And as my family faces their own battles, as life reminds me that time is not guaranteed, I realized I'm not doing this just for me. I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this for my close friends. I'm doing this for my supporters. I'm doing this for every person who ever felt stuck but had greatness inside them waiting to breathe. The bridge is not just a channel, it's a mission, it's a movement, a reminder that healing, happiness, wealth, and purpose are not separate roads. They are one path waiting to be connected. So yes, I walked away from a job, but I walked toward a calling, toward alignment, toward legacy, toward becoming the version of me that I refuse to leave incomplete. Did you hear what I said? I refuse to leave my greatness incomplete. I built this mini movie for one reason, to prove that if I can do it, then so can you. You can rewrite your story. You can choose your legacy. You can build a new chapter before life, circumstances, or misfortune writes one for you. Because at the end of the day, you were not born to repeat the same week for 40 years and call it a life. You were born to evolve, to expand, to grow, to fly. And this is your permission to begin. You don't need the perfect moment, just the courage to take the first step. And the moment you do, your next chapter begins. Now, stay tuned because the Power of Alignment documentary is coming soon. And trust me, you haven't seen anything yet. And this, my friend, is the bridge coming right back at you. Bigger, better, and stronger. Love, peace, and happiness.